Ramaphosa planned to put the Zulu King on drugs. Why did he do that? And then why did he get everybody to take photos of a naked king and humiliate him? And therefore the king doesn't even go to his palace. He stays in Balitu. I went there. The premier of KwaZulu-Natal, under Ramaphosa's instructions, stopped the Zulu King's money. So I had to supply the Zulu King and pay for his staff. None of his staff, a Zulu King, a proud man, kill me, I'm 60, I've lived, what the hell? So I'm not afraid to go and sit with Paul Mashatile in his house and talk about these things.
Do you have proof for what you've said, especially the stuff you said about drugs and alcohol? It's quite a serious thing to say without giving proof for all these things that you're saying today.
I've done.
What can money's race and riches give you? They can give you the privileges that Louis has had. So Louis has, I mean, today is just a shocker. I watched the press briefing. I could not watch the rest of it. But this is the little that I've gathered from him. I'm so embarrassed being an African. I mean, I'm in Africa. I'm listening to a white man in his 60s, who is a commoner, who proudly says he not only funded the Zulu King after Ramaphosa did not give him money, they stopped his payments. He is his personal friend. I hold Isilo in high regard, and I wouldn't know most people who would refer to a king as a personal friend. And he funds him. I mean, in a way, I mean, he says he even gives him money in a whiskey bottle. He gives the king. Well, true or not, I don't think in a form of respect you should actually declare that in front of people in an unhonorable manner, to refer to a Zulu King like that. And the thing that I hate about this guy is he says the Zulus are the biggest nation in South Africa, and they shouldn't be listening to people, and their king is the biggest active king, and no one is, and he thinks they should have their own money, their own currency, and live by themselves and separate themselves from Africans. This is what back in Codesa was discussed, and I'm so disappointed with this guy. They gave him media time. But anyway, I'm one of those who say if they don't give someone media time, we'll all complain. But I hope people give us these guys. I don't even know what I should call Louis. So Louis is more like okay. Let me just tell you the thing that Louis said. Number one, he said Zondo is a mouse. He's a personal friend of the Zulu King. He funded Zuma. So, and he continues funding Zuma and the MK. He doesn't know how much they've given them, by the way. He gives security guards 200 rands every day. He was homeless, and within 8 months he had 40 million. Well, this could be true, and don't get me wrong, but it just shows you white privilege from being homeless to, and it's not brains. And I challenge anyone who could contest that. It can't be brains. It's almost like saying Besta used brains to have all of those things. No, it's not brains. It's just money. He had money. He has proof of these shenanigans in Mpumalanga. He says even if they kill him, it's fine. He's over 60, and if the ANC lose below 50%, they will create a war. And he's spoken to other people within the ANC leadership, and they say even Lindiwe, I don't know if it's Lindiwe Zulu or Lindiwe Mazibuko, or no, it's not Lindiwe Mazibuko, Lindiwe Zulu and Lindiwe Sisulu, yes, Lindiwe Sisulu. So it's I just want you to watch it. I'm fed up, man. I'm so disappointed. I'm so disappointed. The biggest thing that disappoints me is this has potential of being believed. This has potential of being taken seriously, because sowing divisions, you don't start from scratch. You build on what there's a current hate. You just sparkle a bit of hate there, and it's a bomb. And I'm afraid. Thank you.
If we get rid of Ramaphosa, we get rid of the World Economic Forum in the form of his brother-in-law, right? In fact, if you get rid of Ramaphosa, you've got no more ANC on the top. And then, why don't you have a Zulu in the top 7? My goodness gracious, the Nguni group in South Africa, you must recognize and respect as the biggest group and the only one that really has a king that is active. And what did Ramaphosa do? Okay, he introduced him, then he said to him, let's go to the Soccer World Cup. Great. It wasn't safe for the Zulu King to go to the Soccer Cup, so President Zuma, the only ever good president we had after Madiba, said, listen, don't go there, it is dangerous. You're in a fragile situation with your wife. Your brother wants to kill you. There's a lot of KwaZulu-Natal killings. So don't go to the Soccer World Cup. So what did Ramaphosa do? He went quickly around, got him in the Joburg hotel. I went after, so Matsepe came out, greeted him. I went up, and I found the Zulu King with another wife that I didn't recognize. So what did they set him up to do? They set him up on drugs, okay? And they started taking the photos. This is South Africa. Set him up on drugs, and now they've got all excuses. He's in hospital, he's here, he's there, he's there. Why did Ramaphosa plan to put the Zulu King on drugs? Why did he do that? And then why did he get everybody to take photos of a naked king and humiliate him? And therefore the king doesn't even go to his palace. He stays in Balitu. I went there. The premier of KwaZulu-Natal, under Ramaphosa's instructions, stopped the Zulu King's money. So I had to supply the Zulu King and pay for his staff. None of his staff, a Zulu King, a proud man, was humiliated in this fashion, caught by drugs. And then they can do with him whatever they want to. That is why I went to Nkandla, because I wanted to know for myself what is happening. That is why I became a friend of the Zulu King that disappeared suddenly, because they've given him drugs at the Soccer World Cup, and he was never the same. And then the fights with his brother, the killings, and all those things.
And then you also mentioned that you funded the former president's legal fees.
Yeah.
Do you know how much money have you spent on his legal fees, and are you still?
I don't know. I must ask Dali.
And you still?
Sometimes it's fetched by other people, so I don't always know where it's going. I need to tell you a good story about that as well. But you can understand something. Diamond business is a cash business, and I can go and look properly at every cent. But in principle, I think my attorney can vouch for 7.5 million for Nkandla, and legal fees initially of about 9 to 10 million. I wasn't aware that the case was brought against the media person. I must be honest, I didn't know that, because I was just going to the Bloemfontein appeals court, and that was dealt with regarding his imprisonment and the objections against that. So initially I wasn't quite aware but I bought the person. When I buy the person, I will go the extra mile for him. Okay. So it's not a lot of money. It is not the 28 million that I know that was owed. But I also think that seeing that the president will be found not guilty on all charges, I think the state will have to refund him all the money. So a lot of that money will come back.
And
I'm not really...
Do you still fund the former president with his legal fees?
As a matter of fact, I didn't recently, because I'm made to understand that he's okay. But I will, Dali phoned me the other day that I had to help another comrade that was really in trouble, and I did that. And I will do that to any person in need, whether they are from the Grab Land, First Land, whether they are Michael the Angel. I will fund whoever is in grave need. I am a Christian, and I am not a fundamentalist. Therefore, you can hear my language is not that of a fundamentalist. I'm a person. I bring my background to the party, but I care for every person on this planet.
And then, what is your comment regarding the invalid signatures? Because I understand that you were taken off 2 of the regional ballots in 2 provinces because the signatures were invalid.
That's total nonsense. It's a discrepancy in the IECs. There are my staff that did it. I wasn't even involved. Let me also be quite frank with you. I initially never expected the signatures. That was something that was, I think they should have brought that to court, because it's unfair towards small parties. To suddenly get 16,000, I think I got by accident 13,000 and something, but it's not necessarily in the right provinces. But we got 1,000, and the real proof, he took it there, Dirk took it there, they checked it, double-checked it, and we went into their system, and they can explain to you just now, but they went into their system, looked at though they were registered, and then got the signature and did it all right. We did everything right, but then the Freedom Front immediately, and it's never happened to other people. I haven't read in the news. It's only Louis. It's only Louis because Media 24 wrote 309 articles, and I'm the most well-known crook in the country.
And you didn't answer my question. Why didn't you stand as a candidate in the Northern Cape?
The Northern Cape, I didn't do that because the MK said to me that they're going to put my mate, Paul Swartboy, in there, and he was on the list, and he was also taken off the list, but I think that was an internal political thing. I need to go and see President Zuma shortly after this meeting or tomorrow, and then go and find out why he wasn't on the MK list. In Namakwaland, it's an ANC area. I did get 3 councillors, but you won't get the main towns like Springbok and so on. And there's quite a few voters, obviously far less than what you would get. KwaZulu-Natal is massive, I mean. But I would support the MK. I've been supporting one of the Zamazamas there. It's the only EFF. He only had 1 T-shirt given to him for the EFF. So I gave him 10,000 Rand for his campaign, and I will give him more because he's working with us, and I like him as a person, and I also believe that the mineral wealth should be in the hands of ordinary people. So it's neither here nor there. White people or my own brothers think that I'm stupid. I'm a businessman. If it makes business sense, then I would support the EFF to get control for the people, because it's all about the people. If I can get it in a different way and a different approach, like I've been explaining, then I would do it that way. I am not, en dit bring my by die punt van Zondo, jy's 'n kroek. You should never, never have sat there in front of Zuma. Zuma is a man. You're a mouse. Why did you sit there? You were number 19 on the list of candidates, and they took you down there. And now Ramaphosa has got you firmly in his grip. You're a crook. You should go, because you can see a fish rots from its head. Zondo is a crook, and so the whole legal system is becoming corrupt. And everybody knows that, and nobody talks about it. They even want to jail you when you say that. Okay, guys, thank you. Another one. Yes. Yes.
Amanda from News 24.
Yes.
I just want to know if you're funding MK or helping them to...
I will always fund everybody that needs help. If I see that MK hasn't got enough posters out and T-shirts, I sat with at Groblersdal because there was going to be a big protest the next day with the EFF. I went and I saw Ali from the EFF for 2 hours. And I said, Ali, we cannot have this protest. This is going to become dangerous. Die boere raak moeilik. And I negotiated with Ali, and Ali stopped the protest. There was not one of the EFF protest there. We can negotiate with one another, and we can help one another to have. We are actually only now going into a peaceful transition. We haven't done it properly in 1994. We lied to one another. Ons was te versigtig. Now the real transition is taking place.
How much have you given MK for its campaign?
I don't know. You know, I don't count money. I must be honest with you. I give away 9, if I've got 10 rand with me, I give 9 rand away. So every single time I enter my estate, I give all the security 200 rand, and when I go to the shop, I give them 200 rand again, and when I go to another appointment, I give them 200 rand again. I never count. Maybe Daisy counts. She's got a book and she writes, but I never count money because I'm only copper. I'm only giving money from God that He gives me, from my right hand to my left hand. So in between, I sometimes don't know what is happening. I'm not an accountant. Accountants cannot make money. They are selling their hours. I don't sell my hours. I sell my brain. And in between my ears, I've got a lot of money. Even if I don't have money in the bank tomorrow morning, I'll have 100 million. I came from the street. Within 8 months, I had 40 million in my savings account. I booked into a 5-star hotel without a card and without money. Go and look at the Table Bay Hotel, without a card and without money, with only the clothing. And I flew. I went to concierge 11 o'clock at night, and I say, fly 15 people from my previous work at Southern. I want to tell them there's diamonds in the sea. The next day, I had 3.6 million in checks to go and buy boats. But then I got to the bank, and I didn't have an ID because I was on the street. And my previous girlfriends, you know, when girlfriends get their Helen, they burn everything. They burn your books, they burn your albums. It's like my history was wiped out. So I didn't have an ID book, and I pleaded with the woman, and I threw the checks there, and she checked the checks, and I said, I'm staying in room 444. You must just give a 5-star hotel. You must give the address, room 444. I'm staying there. And she phoned, room 444, is Liebenberg staying there? She gave me an account. And since then, I only had that ABSA account. I don't like ABSA, but I don't like banks. You don't need a bank. You don't need a bank. You can just have gold, silver, and diamonds. That's all you need. That's why they're struggling to get it from me. How can they get it? It's under the ground, man.
Lastly, sir, you made a very serious allegation or damning allegation against the president, accusing him of setting up the Zulu King. Do you have proof for what you've said, especially the stuff you said about drugs and alcohol? It's quite a serious thing to say without giving proof for all these things that you're saying today.
I've done statistics in my second year in my master's degree at UNISA. I didn't complete the master's degree in business leadership, the SBL campus. Now, one of the things we've learned is deviation of the mean. So you've got a parabool, as we say in Afrikaans. It's got nothing to do with a woman's sex. A parabool is something that looks like that. So what you do is you look at that and you see how near to the truth is somebody. So here's the king. He's not on drugs. He's clean. So Ramaphosa fights with MK and with Buthelezi. Buthelezi and Ramaphosa and Zuma doesn't want him to go to the Soccer World Cup because they know he can be influenced and this and that, and the security was an issue. His security wasn't tight. So they tried to convince, but behind Buthelezi's back and Zuma's back, he went and he arranged for the Zulu King to go to the Soccer World Cup. And he went. And you can see now, since then, what happened to the Zulu King. What happened when I walked in, Motsepe walks out, I go in. He's clean. He's clean. He's clean. I give him some money for the salaries, for his people and whatever, in a whiskey box. Okay? Yeah, sometimes you have to give a whiskey and some money. You understand? So, and he goes to this girlfriend in his bathroom, and he comes back and he's zonked out, totally zonked out after Motsepe was there. Why? He was clean. Why is he staying in Ballito? Why did I have to help his staff? Because the premier stopped the pay. The Premier stopped the pay of the office. The lady sat and cried with me in Durban because they didn't get pay. The Premier stopped it. So there was total manipulation, and the Zulu King was talking about KwaZulu-Natal must be on its own, with their own money, with their own economy. That is what we were talking about. The next moment, this happened to the Zulu King, and then all the trouble with his brothers, and all the videos that came out of the naked woman, and all this rubbish came out, because they put him on drugs. 1 + 1 is 2. Do you have videos? Why don't you, Network 24 has a problem with the truth. Why don't you place the videos of the Zulu King, sleeping with various women because he's been put up with drugs and he doesn't even know who he's sleeping with? Why? Why is the truth so sacred that it must be protected with a lie? The truth is the truth. And I came close enough to understand what is happening. Nobody wants to believe that Ramaphosa is hurting people and is manipulating, and Mabuza, hey, all the proof was there what Mabuza was doing in Mpumalanga. Nobody wants to believe it. But the thing for me is, when Network 24 sees the truth, you will see, okay, that man was killed. Maybe he's just sleeping a bit. This is Network 24. There's another man standing up, and I call a spade a spade. And I'm not afraid, because they don't pay me my salary. And even if they kill me, I'm 60. I've lived. What the hell? So I'm not afraid to go and sit with Paul Mashatile in his house and talk about these things. Talk about these things straight. What is going to happen? The best that can happen at this stage is Mashatile maybe becoming the president, because if the ANC, everybody talks about the ANC must get less than 50%. If the ANC gets less than 50%, we're going to have riots in this country like we've never seen before. You need stability. It would be great if the ANC gets close to 50%. Even if the old man says that he wants to have a 2/3 majority, they can rather do it later. If the ANC gets less than 50%, we're going to have war. Because the ANC is not going to accept this election if they get less than this, or if they can't go into a proper, alliance. But the MK, ANC, and EFF alliance would be the best move for them to make. And then you've got checks and balances, because these guys don't like one another. So they will make sure when the one wants to spend money, says, no, not there, let's get it here. And then hopefully the Afrikaner that still has the money, believe it or not, can play a role, but not the corruption that goes on between Afrikaners and the tenderpreneurs and the fronting and the BE nonsense that never gets down to the real people. 54% of South Africa is still living below the breadline. 60% of people between 18 and 25, we all know the stats, do not have work. Why? Corruption. Corruption between the whiteys that has got a lot of money, the top companies, and giving all their mates the 50% shares, and then they go and sell it immediately, like Motsepe has done with Sanlam. Sanlam has never been the same. Sanlam is destroyed because of Motsepe. Destroyed. Because what's the value that he added to Sanlam after he got all those shares? So BEE is not working because it's not going down to the people that really need it, and everybody in South Africa knows that. And I'm just controversial, so I'm willing to say these things. But go and test it. Go and test the truth about this. I'm not saying the lie. Go and test the truth. Everything I say is true because I've been there. I've been there. I've seen. I've been with the king. I've been with President Zuma. I've seen. I've been with all these ministers came to me. Both Lindiwe's, all these ministers, they came to me, and they all talk the same thing. They're just afraid of Ramaphosa. They're just afraid. But they know it's all wrong. They know that this whole system is sick, and the head of the snake must be cut. If I was Ramaphosa, I would resign today. Stop wasting time. We need democracy. Okay. here at Pretoria at Menlo Park, but she's now in Pleasantburg Bay. That family unit was broken when she left me for another man. Now, one of the things about Afrikaner people, I don't need to tell you guys that, is that we got more of an ego. We have an ego bigger than an house. Our dominance factor is very high. So when you put us under pressure, we become very difficult. Shout, scream, be loud, whatever the case may be. And I inherited all those bad characteristics from my father. Because I remember distinctly when we came, for example, to a garage wanting to put in petrol, he would say to the guy, and maybe you can recall some of this treatment, I don't see people, I only see young people in this forum, yeah. But you can recall that Afrikaans people spoke down on other people. They were like, Kombel, Mahikeng, Viljoen, die baas is haastig. But then, about 2 or 3 kilometers away from that, my father would drive past the squatter camp, and I would see a tear in his eyes. I think that's the contrast that a person coming from an apartheid era experienced in a religious house like mine, where the Holy Spirit is speaking to you about the apartheid, about the way that you deal with other people that is less fortunate than yourself, that is being discriminated upon, that live in squatter camps while you have water and electricity from Eskom, and Eskom only prepared this country for 6 million white people. That is the truth, and now we wonder why Eskom is falling apart, and we blame the ANC, we blame all sorts of economic realities, but the truth is that this country was built by Afrikaans people, for Afrikaans people. And yes, we made peace with the English after a while. But we never really learned how to work together. We never really realized that there was a big South Africa sitting in townships. Okay, that's an interesting one. All right. Okay, we like music as well. In Mahikeng, we always dance, so that's the way it is. But I never knew, as a matter of fact, that I saw myself as a mighty big man. I saw myself as a person above other people. Despite the good education that I got in Mahikeng, when I got back into Gauteng, it was back to old habits. And you all know that I've been caught out a number of years ago when I spoke to a journalist and I used the K word and I spoke derogatively about my fellow citizens. It's such things that remind you that you've got an old brain and yet you've got a clean robe. You've decided for yourself that this is a new dawn, this is a new day for all South Africans. But you still have old habits. And it's those old habits that don't die quickly. That is what creates anger and animosity in South Africa. And since that day, I've decided that I will live differently. Generaal, can you go join me so? I just want to illustrate something that I realized, a simple thing. Maybe something to do with the laws of Newton. If you can just stretch out your hand like that to me. Why are you pressing now? Okay. I can press once more. We must realize that conflict can only exist if there's 2 parties pressing against one another. And one of the things I've learned in the process is to humiliate myself. And therefore you will see me on videos crying, laughing, showering, spreading God's word, even in the shower or the bath. And we at 24, being the fundamentalists, the very conservative crowd, would then say, for example, Louis Liebenberg wat poedelnaak en kaal en wil die evangelie verkondig. Obviously, I've got a bit of a thing with Media 24 because I think they do about 20% truth, 80% speculation. What I would love to see is a 50-50. You know, we're all creative, so let's get the facts about Louis and then we speculate about the other 50% because that makes it interesting. But I think 50-50 would be a good.
All right, so that's Louis Liebenberg, just one of the several candidates, independent candidates, I should add, running for a seat in the lead up to this year's elections. He's speaking in Rosebank this morning, and he's outlined what I can see, just his own background, who he is, and I suppose his worldview as he tries to garner your vote. We'll continue listening in on the situation in Rosebank and watch many other campaign launches for independent candidates in the lead up to the 29th of May.